T.O. The physical real, you know what's the deal. It's blessed when 2 years all up in his huddle with water to cook up a meal. My coaching into it, the combo is chill. Play action to chase, got hunger to feel. The cheetah is loose, he's going for blood. The end of the race only went for the kill. Miami, the city, the county, the block. We steady unpacked till getting the lot. Defense is strong and hard as a rock. Holland's a lock, and next one's a spot. Getting too hot, so turn up the fan. You look to the crowd, see Jimmy and Bam. Martin, Joe, and Sosa the man. Your fellas, roll the clip, only fan.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Soso, and welcome back to Only Fans, where we're going to be talking about the Dolphins offseason and the potential that they have for the upcoming draft. And as usual, I'm joined by the team. We got Martin from Tune Out Martin with us, and of course, the co-host of Sports with Soso, Joel. What's going on, fellas?
Good to see you boys.
Likewise, man. I don't think we're ready for what we're about to get with this team.
Nah, man, this season definitely has a lot of potential, right? A lot of expectations and a lot of good moves, man.
Anything, man.
Yeah, a lot of expectations, and we got to start with the offseason, right? And what occurred in the offseason. I think the biggest move that we had in this offseason was on the defensive side when we made a trade to get Jalen Ramsey in the building. I don't think that people really know the impact that this guy's going to have on our defense, right? Obviously, we know that Vic Fangio is a genius when it comes to defensive schemes, but now that you have Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey, an excellent group of cornerbacks in the mix, man, we just shut down the entire field for teams to throw against us.
Yeah, for me, the biggest change is going to be Fangio because there's no way that a player can supersede what the defensive coordinator is going to bring. Because everybody said our defense was great last year, although we had injuries. Our defensive coordinator is the one that was said to be the weakest link. You change that, and you get probably either top 2 defensive coordinators in the league to replace him. There's a lot of expectations.
Absolutely.
What about you, Joel?
I mean, I think I'm sharing the same sentiment. There's a lot of expectations, but if you've been following the Dolphins for the last 2-3 seasons now, and you've seen this team being built together, it's always a one up on ourselves, and it's positive. It's something that we haven't really seen in the past, where we usually are stepping on our own feet and tripping ourselves up. It seems like now it's like we kind of got our shit together. We're like that, that team that is finally finding its way. Whether it's drafting the right players or trading for the right players or hiring the right personnel to lead those guys. The Dolphins have started to figure it out as of late. And, granted, we don't have a whole lot of draft capital going into this year's draft, but rightfully so, because of the moves that we've made, because of how active we've stayed in the offseason. We talk about Jalen Ramsey and what that's done for, our secondary and what the issues were last year, where, they were clear and present in the secondary with injuries, with the lack of experience, with the lack of just depth in general. Now we're getting one of the best, to do it, that hasn't traditionally never really had any injury issues and has always been able to perform at a high level no matter what team he's been on, since college.
For sure.
So I'm really excited to see that. Another offseason move that was made was, in that same realm, was we let go of Byron Jones, which was a positive move for us because of the fact that it opened up a ton of cap space for us to continue to make moves to make this team even better.
No, for sure. And I think that the biggest thing as far as those two moves are concerned is the reliability, right? You mentioned it earlier. Jalen Ramsey has been reliable. He's been available for a majority of his NFL career while making plays, while making turnovers, while shutting down the best receiver that the opposition has. And with Byron, it sucks that his career had to end like that on an injury plague type season, but that type of cap space is going to be immensely useful for this Dolphins team, right? And they've been putting it to good use here and there with a couple of the signings that they made in the offseason. But those two moves are definitely going to have the biggest impact, because a lot of our complaints from last season was the defense not making stops when they had a chance to, right? And more importantly, in the cornerback room, right, where we didn't have enough depth, like Joel was saying earlier. Now we have 2 number 1 corners to support the rest of the guys that we had, like Cater Kohu, Brian Crossing, guys who kind of stepped up here and there in moments. We didn't even talk about the effect or the impact that that's going to have on our safety, right?
Javon
Holland, and how he's going to be able to play more freely in the backfield. So those two moves in themselves, man, really shore up the defense for something that we knew needed to kind of step up to the level that the offense was able to click at. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited to see this well-balanced Dolphins team take the field.
Come on, dog. We're delusional out here. You know what I'm saying? Some more than others. So, we're excited to watch a spring game, just aqua versus orange. We'll take that for the time being. But we still got work to do, on the defensive side, we've made strides, but I still think there's work to do. And I think you guys would agree with me there. More specifically, on the linebacker side of things, we got the defensive backs secured. We know that D line is unstoppable with the, progression of Jalen Phillips and what's his face, the Power Ranger. I'm thinking Christian Wilkins. And we know what we got there, but I still think that we need improvement. In that line when it comes to the draft, we need to go out there and look for some sort of project linebacker guy that we can kind of integrate into the system and kind of bring them up. But on the offensive side of the ball, we also made another move, and I wanted to make sure to mention that because it's one of the more recent ones the Dolphins made. Formerly known as Robbie, goes by Chosen now, formerly of the Carolina Panthers and the Jets before that. We signed a speedy wide receiver in Robbie Anderson, only to complement the speed of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. What do you guys think about that move we made?
I don't think it's going to be one of the one. I think it's more for depth. For me, I don't really think he's not a blocking receiver, which I think is more what we're going to be needing other than like alongside Waddle and Hill. I don't see him being that good, to be honest. That's just my opinion. I think we're going to look more for these type of like literally run after the catch, block down the field type receivers alongside those two. I think Robbie Anderson is just it's a 1-year deal, flyer. Let's see what happens. Somebody gets hurt, he fills in. I'm not a big fan of the move. Like I just feel like it was.
I think I like the move. I like the move for Robbie or Chosen, right? I like the move for him because he brings that same type of element that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have, right? That home run aspect, if he can get it. There's a lot that goes into that, but he does have that speed. He does have that big playmaking ability. I don't think we're going to rely on him consistently, but if you're talking about a guy who's going to come in and give these guys a break, come in and get 15, 20 plays in each game, he's definitely going to be able to give us his best in those limited amount of action that he's going to see. Same thing with Braxton Berrios, right? Like, I think those two guys are going to be. Yeah, but I think that the combination of having both of those guys in the locker room for that wide receiver group is going to be key because, like I said, they both bring something different that is kind of similar to our main two guys that when they need to get a break, there's not going to be a huge drop-off like we saw last year. Because for all intents and purposes, Cedric Wilson really didn't provide anything. And I always forget how to pronounce his last name, but our rookie wide receiver that we drafted is Wakawa, something like that.
Oh, easy money. Yeah.
Easy money.
He's gonna have a bigger season this year than he did last year. But we did lose Trent Sherfield, which again, I know I got some mixed feeling from you guys when I brought up, his release and all that stuff, but I thought he made some really pivotal, crucial catches on certain third down situations. Might have been the only catch he had the entire game, but those were some of the biggest plays that we had were from Trent Sherfield. And I think guys like Berrios, Berrios is a speedy guy too. You got Robbie Anderson. I mean, this all signs are pointing to speed. Let's let it fly. Let's go. True. So where we don't have to necessarily rely on that deep ball, from Tua, which we won't have to get into all that, whether he can or can't do that. But now we have enough speed all around where we can get creative, where Mike McDaniels can get creative and run jet sweep or run some, quick slants or something where it's just one missed tackle and we got it to the house because we have the speed to back it up. So I'm liking it. I'm liking the moves that we made, but we have the draft coming up and we still have some things that we need to address.
Yeah, Martin, what do you think is the biggest area that we need to address here? Because I know you said linebacker, but think about it this way: we can kind of resolve the linebacker issue in free agency, right? We know that there's I forget his name, the one from Tampa Bay. Yes, White. He's going to be available. Maybe the Dolphins are in a play for him, right? Because normally when you get a linebacker, and we've seen it with the Dolphins, when you get a linebacker, it doesn't necessarily translate immediately to the NFL. So that's why I'm like, maybe we can look at a position that we can get more out of. My thought is being tight end, especially with the limited draft picks. Let me go over them real quick before we start. We have the second round pick. We have the 20th pick overall. Third round pick, we have in the third round, we have the 21st pick overall. In the sixth round, we have the 20th pick overall. And in the seventh round, we have the 21st pick overall. 4 draft picks, kind of spread out. How do you see that playing out?
To be honest, I don't think we're going to – you said, well, we have 5, you said?
4. A second round, a third, a sixth, and a seventh.
I think we'll end up with probably like 2. I think we're going to make a trade on draft day because I do feel like we're going to end draft weekend with a running back. Is it a draft or a trade? I don't know.
One of the running backs, I'm glad you mentioned that, Martin, because as we know, we signed Raheem Mostert to another 1-year deal and Jeff Wilson. We brought the dynamic duo back. We love that move, right? I think that we like both those guys.
Agreed.
But there has been a name that has been thrown around with the Dolphins, attached to it, and that's a Dade County, native in Dalvin Cook. And I'm not sure. I haven't heard enough about it, but do you guys think that that's a real possibility to go after somebody like a Dalvin Cook?
Possibility, yes. I think there's other areas, and I'd rather have Derrick Henry than Dalvin Cook. That's just my opinion.
I'd
rather give up all my 4 draft picks and get.
Yeah, for sure, right? Because only because you know what you're getting with Henry and Dalvin Cook. I don't want to say he's falling off. He's still an amazing running back, but he's not a Derrick Henry, right? Do I think that we are in that discussion? Yes, I really do think that the Dolphins have made, attempts to have conversations with the Vikings about what it would take to get a Dalvin Cook. But I'm with Martin. I think that if you're looking about how to use your cap space, right, and the cap space that you just created with letting go Byron Jones, I think you look at linebacker because that's the one area where we don't have a standout player, right? You look at safety, standout player. You look at cornerback, standout player. Defensive line, defensive end, standout player. We have every single position covered to have a standout player. We don't have that when it comes to linebacker, And Bradley Chubb is not really a linebacker. I know that sometimes they put him as OLB or whatever. He's a defensive end, in my opinion. You know what I mean? He's not necessarily a downfield coverage type linebacker. So that's why I think that if we're going to use some of that cap space or that trade, salary cap space that we have, I think we should try to get a linebacker.
Yeah, I would agree. To me, again, I know they were tying us to Gibbs, supposedly that we could possibly trade up to get him. But I think we either end up with, drafting a running back or, again, I'd rather not trade for Cook or Henry. I'd rather keep our picks because although everybody's happy about all these additions, we have to understand, this is, to me, at this point, if you're adding so much and you're getting left with no cap space, no picks, it's boom or bust.
Yeah.
So, for me, I don't want to get too into the weeds of it, but, when you talk about Derrick Henry versus Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry is a monster. We know what he can do physically. He's athletically, gifted, and he's a specimen. But frankly, guys, I don't think he would fit our scheme the way that a Dalvin Cook would. I was saying it all last year. We need a pass catching back, and Derrick Henry's not that. He's very one-dimensional. He's going to run through your face over and over and over again, but he's not going to be that pass-catching back out of the backfield when it's 3rd and 1 and Tua has nothing open and we just need to dump off to get that first down. Dalvin Cook fits that a little bit more, but I will say that, again, I don't think that that's necessarily what we need to. I think we saw enough from Jeff Wilson and from Raheem Mostert last year that if they can stay healthy, we will have no problem with those 2 guys, 1 and 2, and then throw in a Salvin Ahmed out there who, he can be productive as well. You guys talk about the linebackers. We got Brad Chubb. I know that's more of an outside. We're talking about more of an inside linebacker kind of situation. I really would like for us to look for something in the draft with the 4 picks that we have. We have 4 picks. Of those 4 picks, if the Dolphins went out of those 4, the 2 picks that they picked to go with, one was linebacker and the other one was an offensive lineman, I would have no quarrel with that. I got no problem with that because the O-line is also what I think needs further depth. I mean, I'm going to rattle off some of our O-linemen here. Ready? We got Liam Eichenberg.
Yeesh.
We got Dan Feeney. We got Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson, Robert Jones, Connor Williams, and, of course, Armstead.
Yeah.
So, the issue for me is Tua's a left-handed quarterback. Yeah, we got the traditional blind side covered, but that's not his blind side.
True.
We need to get the right side of that line. I've been saying this for God knows how long. We need to get reinforcements on that right side. We cannot afford for our quarterback to get hit in the back or go down again or anything like that. So for me, it's really that offensive line, man. We need to bulk that up. We need to find some of these corn-fed boys, and it's tough because we know the first round is usually where that goes. We're not picking till 52 overall in this draft. That's our first pick. So that means that 51 guys are going to go before we get a chance to pick anybody. So that's kind of cumbersome. But it would make sense what Martin said, that because of that, it's like, hey, package something together, get rid. We only have a couple of these draft picks. Might as well leverage that and see what else we can come up with to further strengthen our team.
But I think that the biggest takeaway for me for this draft is like, it's either going to be, the good thing about this problem, if you want to call it a problem, is that the Dolphins have really done a great job of addressing a majority of their concerns, right? We have a lot of things in place that'll help us win games because we saw it last season. We just need to fine tune the small things. We need to find a tight end, right? Definitely need to replace Gesicki. We need a linebacker, right? Possibly 2 linebackers. And we also need some help on the offensive line. If we can address those 3 things in this draft, even if it's like what Martin said, where you're not getting it for right now, but you're getting it for the future and not necessarily, giving up all your assets just to win right now, then yeah, I think that should be the move that the Dolphins are looking for, because like you need to find a tight end. You need to find a tight end no matter what. We need to find another offensive lineman no matter what. And we need to find a linebacker. So if we only have 4 draft picks to do that, and one of them being a 7th rounder, right, which is more than likely not necessarily going to make a team, right? It'll probably be a guy who makes the practice squad. You got to hit on these picks. And we've seen Chris Greer and company go out there and have really good drafts. I'm wondering if they're going to be able to sustain that success in this draft, which is going to be much harder to hit on those draft picks.
This is going to be their toughest challenge yet as a front office.
I don't see us drafting a tight end, to be honest. I feel like they're going to be okay with the ones we have. They like Smythe as a blocker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They like the pass-catching young guys that we have coming up. And do you really want to waste one of those on instead of getting a linebacker or O-line? I don't even know why running back is such a conversation. I really don't get it. It is what it is. This is the first time in 6 years that like going into the draft we're like literally saying, hey, we're either gonna go get one or draft one, okay? But like, why? Like you just sign these 2. I get it. Injuries play a part, but realistically speaking, that's not your weakest point.
Correct. No,
so we're in agreement. Linebacker, O-line.
Yeah. Those are the 2 things that you really need, man. If we're thinking about it, those are the 2 things that you really need, because
and it's bad at linebacker. It's bad.
Yeah, for sure. It's really bad at linebacker. I feel like that's the biggest spot for us, right? That's the biggest spot.
Who do we have as far as linebackers? As far as right now,
and that was one of our best tackling. But again, we were subpar at tackling, but Landon Roberts is gone.
Yep. Well, we got Jerome Baker. We got Brad Chubb. We got Cameron Good, David Long Jr., Malik Reed.
Because I don't know none of those guys except for the first 2 people you named.
Duke Riley, we re-signed again. We gave him another deal. He's special team, player, kind of comes off the bench. He's I'm good with him. We re-signed AVG, Andrew Van Ginkel, kind of the same role as Duke Riley, right? Channing Tindall is our other guy.
They're betting hopefully he comes back from last year's I guess lack of depth or lack of production or play time.
Which is the linebacker that we signed from the Titans?
Yeah, that one, Reed.
I think if he can stay healthy, he'll have the biggest impact, right? Because he's NFL ready. He's been through the ups and downs. He knows how to perform. He knows what his job would be.
On the Titans. So if he's coming
an amazing defense. Exactly. He should be ready to go and should have an immediate impact on this team. I would like to see, like you, Martin, a young linebacker who's really been a standout player, kind of fall to us in that second round pick and us get a steal that way. I still think that we need to address the tight end position because at some point you're going to need a playmaking tight end. Granted, we have easy money. We have Robbie Anderson. We have a several slot guys that we can throw out there. But there's nothing like having a tight end line up who can kind of block in those first 2 seconds, split away from the offensive line, run his route, and catch balls and get open. You know what I mean?
If there's a new tight end, he'll be undrafted, man. I really don't see it. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just being realistic. It's like you have Smythe. He could block. Do what you really want.
Smythe is whatever. Smythe is really whatever. And again, it's not going to kill the offense. I'm just thinking of what it would take to take this offense to the next level. You know what I mean? Because this offense is great. And I said it earlier. Now we've seen the moves made on the defensive side that have kind of equaled to the level that the offensive side is on. So we should see a very well-balanced offense team this upcoming season, which can only mean more playoff success, right? And more regular season success in order to make the playoffs. Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you guys, I know we're talking about the offseason and we're talking about the draft, but like I wanted to ask you guys, is the floor for the Dolphins now the playoffs? Is that like the absolute floor? Would you guys say yes to that, like without a doubt?
Martin is nodding his head back and forth vigorously.
Don't break your neck. Don't break your neck.
If we're not going into not the divisional round, if we're not going into the second round, it's a bust to me. Like we better be second round. Like we either won the division or got in the wild card round and won that game, or bust.
To answer your question, that is the expectation with this team right here.
Facts.
You got it last year. We're only getting better when we should not regress. We have the same coaching staff, if not even better. We got a strengthened coaching staff. We have a whole season under our belt where we have, continuity and cohesiveness and time to play together and experience together. So, now it's absolutely the expectation that we need to be in the playoffs, not just a back door. We need to assert our dominance, and this is going to be even more challenging this season, more than ever. I mean, we didn't think we could get even harder, but, looking at our division, we got Buffalo, which we know the division runs through Buffalo, whether we like it or not. It ran through it last year, ran through it the year before. As of right now, the division, the AFC East runs through Buffalo. Now we also got Aaron Rodgers in our division in the Jets. It's been made official. The Jets, who had a pretty decent showing last year as well, kind of like us.
A good defensive team.
Great defensive team. They have a great defensive-minded coach. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they have some really good skill players at the wide receiver position, at the running back position with Breece Hall, who unfortunately went down with a torn ACL. But now they add a Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, who I think still wants to win in this league. You know what I mean? Why he went to the Jets, that's beyond me. I probably wouldn't have followed what Favre did, but we have to make sure, we don't lose sight of the fact that, hey, we can't sleep on the Jets. You know what I mean? They're going to keep it competitive. And if we lose certain games, I could easily be the Jets taking our wild card spot, or if not, even the division. And we can't have that.
No, for sure. This division just got much more difficult. And it was already a tough division last year, right? We were talking about it because we had three teams that were in the playoff hunt between us, the Bills, and the Patriots. Jets. No, the Patriots.
Oh, the
Jets
Patriots,
were out of it. Yeah.
And before all this stuff, and before this dynasty that we have, or this team, this regime, it was the Brady era. So we've been at the mercy of the Patriots. So that historically, this division has never been handed to us. True, we got to go out there and we got to earn it. It's never going to be handed to us. We got to go out there and we got to win games. We got to earn it.
This is just a flyer out there. The Patriots will be trading for a quarterback on draft day.
I hope so, because Mac Jones is trash. They need something else. You know what I mean? Like, if they want to compete, honestly, with this division, they need to upgrade at quarterback, because every single team has a upgraded quarterback. Obviously, we know what Josh Allen brings to the table. We've seen what Tua's been able to accomplish here with Mike McDaniel. Even with the Jets now and Aaron Rodgers, Joel said it, Super Bowl winning quarterback. That guy's not a slouch by any means, right? And he's coming here to win. He's not coming to fucking lose. it's going to be interesting what the Patriots do to kind of keep pace, but I feel like this is the type of division that it was in the early mid-90s, right? That we used to see between the Dolphins and the Bills and the Patriots and the Jets all going at it. I think that the Dolphins do really have a leg up on both the Patriots and the Jets, you know, if none other than just having continuity in their scheme and their players and having all that and not having to adjust to learn. But yeah, this division is going to be one of the toughest in the NFL this year, yet again. And I think that the Dolphins are in a prime position to not only challenge for the division, but really make some noise in the playoffs, like Martin was saying. Fellas, we got a hell of a season to look forward to this year, man. It's going to be so exciting. The draft is definitely going to add to that excitement. We're probably going to give you guys a little bit of taste of the draft recap. We call that foreshadowing.
So the draft officially starts Thursday, April 27th at 8 p.m.
Yes.
But good news for you Dolphins fans is we don't need to tune in until Friday, which is when we will be ideally making our first pick unless we trade it away. So,
hey,
but yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys in the loop on Sports with Soso. Make sure to follow Sports with Soso on Instagram and Twitter. And next week, we'll definitely have a little recap of the draft. Hopefully we get some gems.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, this was dope as always. Martin, Joel, it's always a pleasure jumping on this with you guys. For everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. You guys know what to do. You got to head on over to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, drop a comment on our videos because we're going to bring you an amazing Dolphins season this year. Season 2 of Only Phans is officially kicked off. Until next time, y'all. Peace.